All right, welcome everyone. We are so glad that you are here joining us for this 1 o'clock session. You have joined Mobility Next, What's Next for National Landing's planned People First Transportation Infrastructure. So really excited to introduce our speaker and then give him the floor. My name is Kelly Krimbos. I get to support the Washington Area Bicyclist Association. I work specifically with the Capitol Trails Coalition, but we're really excited to be here at the Vision Zero Summit. So before we dive in, wanted to do a quick introduction for Rob, our speaker here. Rob Mandel is the Deputy Executive Director for the National Landing BID in Arlington, Virginia. The National Landing BID, or Business Improvement District, is a public-private partnership established to promote and activate the area's business, retail, restaurant, and residential community. Rob has a background in urban planning and economics, combined with a passion for placemaking and collaboratively building communities for people, not just buildings, and that drives his perspective and vision. So I think with that, I want to turn it over to Rob. Throughout the session, please feel free to enter questions into the chat, and we'll save some time at the end to get through those. Thank you. All right, over to you, Rob.
Great, thanks so much, Callie, and welcome to everybody. I'm really happy to be here at the Vision Zero conference. Very important work that WAB has been doing. As Callie said, my name is Rob Mandel. I'm the Deputy Executive Director for the National Landing Business Improvement District, and I'm also a longtime WABA member, though maybe you need to double check, make sure I'm current. Encourage everybody else, if you're not already a member, make sure you sign up. As a bit of additional background, yes, I'm a planner by academic training. I've never actually been a practicing planner, interestingly. Maybe sometimes that gives me an advantage. But I've had a long-running passion for mobility and pedestrian and bicycle safety in particular. As a 17 and 18-year-old, I used to drive my lifeguard carpool buddies insane, complaining about the severely lacking mobility network of suburban Connecticut. So I think they're still struggling up there a little bit, but you know, I think I drove them a little bit nuts. I've also been what I call a partial bicycle commuter for nearly 2 decades. Partial for me means kind of 2 to 3 days a week on most weeks. But I've more recently, as I've gotten past that second decade, I've kind of adopted e-bike world. So shout out to the fellow e-bike brigade. For the past 15, almost 16 years, I've been here at the Business Improvement District and National Landing, focused heavily on mobility and ensuring that redevelopment incorporates the very best-in-class practices to make a downtown that is safe and walkable. Sometimes people do ask me, like, why does a business improvement district care or focus on these kinds of things? Well, the simple answer is really that walkable downtown environments is what talent actually demands. People want to work in places that they would actually choose to spend their time in outside of work. And that means that businesses follow. Right now, we're in the talent attraction economy. And in order to attract the very best businesses, you need to attract the very best talent. So for us, focusing on mobility and connectivity is really, really important. So in other words, walkability, safety, Vision Zero, all good for business. Today, I'm going to quickly go over a few of the big ticket mobility projects that continue to transform National Landing into one of the most connected downtowns in the country. Let's see if my actual slideshow works. For those that are not aware, National Landing consists of the Arlington neighborhoods of Crystal City, Pentagon City, and Potomac Yard, which also actually straddles into Alexandria. We've got great access to 395, VRE, the VRE system, blue, and eventually we'll get the yellow line back and access to the region's hundreds of miles of off-street trails that we already have. With all of these things, we already have really great connectivity. And it's one of the things that drives the ability for our commuter base. 75% of trips are occurring by means other than private single occupant vehicles. So we're already starting from a really great place. A little bit of a lag here, whoops. But thanks to decades of the county's best-in-class smart growth, land use, and transportation planning, National Landing is really in the midst of an incredible transformation. The neighborhood's on the cusp of becoming the fastest growing district in the entire region, with nearly $8.5 billion of private sector development underway. That includes 8,000 new residential units. It includes 6 million square feet of office space, and that adds to an existing commercial stock that's already as extensive as downtown Austin, Texas. So we're already a really major downtown of substance. You can see on this development outlook map, all these blue projects are in the pipeline. It's about 35, 36 individual projects transforming our landscape throughout the area. And again, thanks to good planning, we also have billions of dollars of public sector mobility infrastructure in the works as well. Funding from the county, the state, and the federal government. And this is incredibly important commitment to support the transformation of National Landing that's underway. Together, these private and public sector investments have created what I really would consider a once in a lifetime opportunity to repair the damage to the built environment that resulted from the area's regional auto-centric focus and in order to create a walkable, connected downtown. Some of the most impactful projects that are underway are listed here. You have the new bridge span for Long Bridge that'll double rail capacity and deliver a parallel bike facility. You've got the second Crystal City Metro entrance that's going to deliver an entrance directly onto Crystal City's Main Street on Crystal Drive. You have a transformation of Route 1, turning it into a walkable urban boulevard that actually links Crystal City and Pentagon City instead of divides them. A new National Landing station to serve VRE and future expansions of rail access. New connection to connecting Crystal City to the airport with CC to DCA. An expanded transitway network. A new Potomac Yard station. And not illustrated on this map, you have over 20 individual county complete streets projects and the over 30 plus private development projects that you saw on the previous slide, delivering enhanced streetscapes, improved pedestrian safety, and new bike infrastructure all throughout National Landing. Pretty much very few linear feet is untouched by this redevelopment that's underway. And the National Landing Bids Mobility Next report really outlines the area's key mobility projects across multiple agencies and authorities to provide a comprehensive picture of the impact of all of these transformative investments in National Landing and how they're making it one of the most connected downtowns in the entire country. Now, one of the most exciting elements of this picture that we paint in Mobility Next for National Landing is, and really for the whole region as a whole, it's not just a National Landing benefit, but it's the planned rail investments that are transforming rail in National Landing and throughout the region. Several major initiatives are setting the stage for a big expansion of rail service. The first is Virginia's Transforming Rail in Virginia initiative. That's going to invest $3.7 billion in rail infrastructure, which includes the new Long Bridge and new rail capacity along the Atlantic Gateways corridor. But it also delivers increased rail service. So there's going to be a 75% increase in VRE rail service. That includes bi-directional and weekend service, something that we don't have today, and a doubling of Amtrak service along this corridor. The second major initiative is a plan that's supported by regional lawmakers and business groups to bring MARC rail service across the river from Maryland and DC into Virginia. And that would create a more unified regional rail network that really could deliver an expanded workforce that's within a 60-minute rail commute to National Landing. So this is pretty dramatic. So to be exact, studies are suggesting about an additional 765,000 people and 97,000 households that be added into this commute shed. Now imagine what this could have done for our friends over in, just across the DC border in Maryland, who've been relying on the yellow line to get to National Landing. They've been kind of stuck with some difficult commute patterns over the next 6 months or so as we work on the yellow line rail bridge. They could have had a one-seat ride into National Landing Station. Hopefully into the future, we'll see that. And though, as little as 5 years ago, having Amtrak service and actually in National Landing might have been considered a pipe dream. We now have the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority actually going on record expressing that it's no longer a question of if National Landing is going to get service, but actually when. So that's something that is going to be very dramatic for National Landing in Arlington in particular, be the closest rail station to a airport in the country once we have the CC to DCA multimodal connector. So another part of our Mobility Next report really focuses on how mobility infrastructure can do more than just move people around. It can really entirely transform the essence of downtowns. It can serve as catalyst for place-based economic development for years to come. And so one of the two of the key projects that we really look at here are the CC to DCA multimodal connector and the Route 1 Boulevard. So first, in 2018, the bid shared a vision for how one could fulfill the sector plan goal of enhancing connectivity to the airport with a iconic and dramatic idea, which was the CC to DCA intermodal connector. This connection was envisioned as a way to link downtown Crystal City with the airport with a bridge that would be a 5-minute walk, a bridge or a tunnel. It would be a 5-minute walk. Really to put it in perspective, the new Dulles rail station will be further away from the Dulles terminal than the security checkpoints at DCA will be from the foot of this bridge or this connection that was envisioned. So this is a truly strong, incredible opportunity for an iconic piece of infrastructure that really changes the geography of Crystal City. In the spring of 2022, Arlington County actually initiated a NEPA process for the CC to DCA project. And we're expecting that by the end of this year, there will be identified an alternative, preferred alternative for this new connection. Shown here is one of the alternatives that would actually go kind of from close to where the picture is taken from, but just a couple floors down directly to the left side of that photo over at the airport. So we're incredibly excited about this investment. It's already got over $30 million of funding. It's in the package for Amazon mobility improvements that the Commonwealth put together as part of the deal to bring Amazon HQ2 to Arlington. So very exciting, iconic opportunity into the future. The second iconic big move project is the transformation of Route 1 into an urban boulevard. As an elevated pseudo highway piece of infrastructure, it divides Crystal City and Pentagon City. It was identified in our strategic plan as a really important, one of the top moves that we could make in order to link Crystal City and Pentagon City on either side. And so this is another project that the state had committed to studying as part of the Amazon mobility project, infrastructure commitments. And in 2021, following a year of public engagement by the Virginia Department of Transportation with the public, they released a recommendation to transform Route 1 into an urban boulevard that's at grade at 2 of the current overpass locations. So the idea is really to create an at-grade walkable facility that includes pedestrian activity and bike infrastructure. So we've been very supportive of this project. There's a lot of discussions still underway. VDOT is currently in a second phase as part of a $134 million package to continue the analysis and assessment of this project. But we're looking forward to continued engagement with VDOT and the community to make sure that this project gets the essentials of safety, pedestrian safety, and mobility, people-centric mobility right from the get-go. Another core tenet of Mobility Next is how the local transit scene is being strengthened. There's kind of 3 core projects here that we identify. The Crystal City Metro entrance, as I mentioned earlier. The entrance today faces one of the overpass walls of Route 1, actually. And the second entrance would kind of bring access to the metro station directly onto the frontage of Crystal Drive. So that's a project that's underway. Design is currently underway, and looking forward to an anticipated opening sometime in the latter half of this decade, probably 25, 26. Another piece everybody here is probably familiar with is the Potomac Yard Alexandria infill metro station. That is going in another evolving neighborhood, which we consider part of National Landing. It has an anticipated development capacity down there of 12 million square feet. That's quite substantial. Metro station, as you know, is currently installing the track. That's why there's a gap in the metro system for the next several months. But it'll be an incredible southern anchor for National Landing and really bring a lot of Potomac Yard, Arlington closer to Metro's influence. So we're very excited about that investment. Then we have, I think we're one of the early adopters in Virginia as a whole of bus rapid transit. We have the Metroway Transitway located here, and the county is currently under construction on a extension of that to the north into Pentagon City. And then there's a second component that would be done in collaboration with Alexandria to the south. What this really does is create a link between the new Potomac Yard Metro Station, Braddock Road, and the Crystal City Metro Station. Oh gosh, in the dark. Okay, that actually worked out just fine. And basically delivers a gap filler transit system, premium service, really frequent headways, really important piece of the mobility menu for National Landing, which is a very long corridor. So we're excited for that. And I think one of the, unsung opportunities that is coming once the Transitway extension is completed is a new premium transit service that is going to connect Skyline over in Fairfax County to Crystal City and National Landing. This will be a premium network. Those who've been around for a while will know this is the replacement service for the proposed and then canceled streetcar service. It's going to be an incredible addition to the network of transit for National Landing. Today, you don't really have all-day service that connects the Columbia Pike corridor to National Landing. And interestingly, Columbia Pike over the next 40 years is going to receive the most residential investment in the entire county. So most of the residential growth in Arlington County is going to occur along this corridor. And this service will deliver premium transit service from this housing corridor to the job center that is National Landing. So we think this is a really important piece of the transit network as National Landing evolves and as Columbia Pike grows as a bedroom community. Another core tenet of the Mobility Next report is people-powered mobility. That's on foot, that's on bike, that's on scooter. And the key to that is a seamless, interconnected network of bike facilities. We're big proponents of best-in-class bike facility investment. We're somewhat benefit from the great plans that are in place, Crystal City Sector Plan and the newly approved Pentagon City Sector Plan. But it's amazing how quickly things evolve. The 2010 Sector Plan in Crystal City still had Sharrows as adequate infrastructure. So there's been a lot of work, in particular over the last 2 years, to develop a new vision for a Crystal City bike network. So just released over the course of the last several months with a new plan that will be implemented over the next 3 years, really, to create more protected bike facilities throughout National Landing. Very important investment to make sure last mile safe network is provided throughout the downtown. Another big project is the Army-Navy Drive Complete Street. That's underway this fall. That delivers a protected bike facility along a really important corridor and delivers traffic calming complete street tactics to that northern boundary of National Landing as you kind of get towards the Pentagon. So that's going to be an incredible investment that really sets the tone as people come into the area. And then finally, the Pentagon City Sector Plan envisions something relatively new for Arlington. It's called the Green Ribbon. We see this as a really important kind of parallel to the existing sidewalk or the envisioned sidewalk network to get people and pedestrians walking around and connected throughout National Landing in Pentagon City, and then ultimately into the rest of National Landing. So we're excited about how kind of biophilic design can get incorporated into our streetscapes. I always say our sidewalks and walking areas are the largest inventory of open space that we have, and it's highly underutilized in that capacity. So we're looking at ways to work together with the county and our development community to deliver a much enhanced system. And then finally, safe streets. You can't have a downtown that's connected and safe without streets that really are designed and made for that. As I mentioned earlier, Arlington's got an incredible list of projects, over 20 that are underway in the pipeline in some capacity. They're funded up to over $220 million in the capital improvement program. It's a very, I think we're very lucky to have this kind of investment from the county. And like I said earlier, it's like no linear foot of streetscape seems like it's going to get untouched over the next 10 years. It's really 40 years of change in the next 10. So it's an incredible once in a lifetime opportunity to take advantage of the public and private sector investments in order to repair our urban infrastructure. And I should have also mentioned the People Before Cars Coalition. I know the next session, Malika Scriven on our team is going to be talking about that, but it is an important advocacy arm of BID and so many of our partners, so that we can show community support, business support for the types of improvements that really will deliver that people-centric infrastructure. And really this is, I think, one of the most popular pages of our Mobility Next report. It really shows what the timeline is anticipated to look like. This is what we've called from kind of public documents and kind of our understanding of deliveries and milestones. But the real message is that these are real projects. They're funded, they're underway. They're not just conceptual ideas that are sitting on a bookshelf somewhere. So it's one of the most exciting things about the work that's going on in National Landing. A lot of the development projects are transforming individual sites, and then the mobility network is transforming and evolving to support it. And it's really, really focused on people-centric mobility, transit. There's never been any conversation around here about adding lane capacity in order to support the development that's underway here. We really need the mobility investments in transit, walkability, bicycle connectivity, two-wheeled mobility in order to serve that development and serve our economic development needs into the future. So with that, that is our Mobility Next report. We'll actually be publishing a new version. Our old version is actually up here. It's also on our website at nationallanding.org. I'm happy to take any questions. Callie, if you have any that have come through the chat.
Definitely. I am glad to start out, and thank you for such a thorough overview. We have a question here following up on some of the elements you talked about addressing Route 1. Could you tell us a little bit more about how the BID is working with various governmental agencies to emphasize safety, deter car trips, and ensure that we won't see increases in pedestrian and cyclist deaths or injuries when Route 1 is brought to grade at National Landing?
Sure. So VDOT, which is leading this project, has been doing a pretty robust public engagement effort. They've had a whole round of public engagement meetings, a phase 1 and a phase, they're in the midst of their phase 2. Actually, before phase 1, the BID launched what we call Reimagine Route 1. It's another report that we have on our website that really wanted to set the stage for, it's really set the table for the conversation about how you deliver a walkable urban boulevard within a downtown. This isn't something that is foreign to other downtowns. Other downtowns have executed successful transformations of urban highway infrastructure. So we wanted to make sure folks were aware of that. We've also got great examples even across the river in the District of Columbia of 6-lane roads serving our urban downtowns, kind of in the most walkable safest parts of the urban downtown of DC. But we know that anytime you have a Department of Transportation leading an infrastructure project, there's competing interests. And so we've been trying really hard to make sure that the focus has been on safety. And one might take the position that once you eliminate an overpass, it's less safe. We actually think the opposite, because what overpasses do is create a mentality of auto centrality, that when you enter this community, it's for cars, it's not for people. And that sets the tone for how people navigate the streets of your downtown. Were it viewed as a really successful strategy to make downtown safer, we'd be seeing a lot more overpasses being built throughout our downtown communities. I don't think any truly walkable downtown communities are taking that route. But again, I think that our focus has really been on leveraging our partnership through the coalition, the People Before Cars Coalition, within which we're represented by advocates for safety in the community, so Families for Safe Streets in Arlington. We're represented by Sustainable Mobility for Arlingtonians. WABA is a member of our coalition. So we're all working together to make sure that we're using the right language and influencing as much as we can through the public process what the priorities are, which is people first design. And there's work to do. We're going to have to continue to push on the narrowest lanes. We're going to have to push on a beautiful streetscape that's sizable enough to accommodate all the needs we have. Street trees need to be urban and not like a suburban highway with offsets. There's a lot of work to do, and we're working together with our partners on the coalition to make sure that our voices are heard.
All right, well, thank you, Rob. I see we are at 1:30 here.